on Comcast Sportsnet, part of the NBC Sports Group.
The Cubs turn to their ace tonight to be the stopper. Beautiful night here in Wrigleyville as this long 10-game homestand continues. It's Game 3 of a 4-game series as the Cubs try to end a 7-game skid against the Milwaukee Brewers. And hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs just can't figure out the Brewers again. They've lost 7 in a row and 12 of the first 15, and they're going to ask Jeff Samardzija to be that stopper tonight.
They're not that hard to figure out, Len. These guys bang the ball. For Jeff Samardzija to be successful tonight, he's going to have to keep that sinker down, keep the splitter down. Had a good outing against the Brewers earlier this season, went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and 1 run in a no decision. The Cubs eventually won that game 8-2.
And a key for all of the Cubs pitchers here tonight and in this series against the Brewers is to keep the ball in the ballpark. The Brewers have a lot of power bats.
They really do, Len. A lot of guys have power in this lineup that you wouldn't expect. We talked about Jonathan Lucroy throughout this series, Carlos Gomez with a big home run in this series, but obviously the guys in the middle, BRAUN, Ramirez, and HART, are the guys you really have to watch out for.
Good-looking young right-hander Mike Fiers will go for Milwaukee tonight. The Cubs have been outscored 19-5 in the first 2 games of this series. We've seen a lot of balls leave the ballpark. We'll have Game 3 coming up next. Dan, as we come inside the ballpark on another gorgeous night. Warm temperatures, calm skies, and the Cubs trying to win for the first time in their last 8 games in this season series against the Milwaukee Brewers. They've got the right guy on the mound in Jeff Samardzija.
I need to avoid contact of those big power hitters in the middle of the Brewers lineup, or at least get weak contact, keep the ball on the ground and in the ballpark. And offensively, the Cubs need to find a way to make more contact. A lot of strikeouts against this Brewers pitching staff this season.
This is game 6 of a 10-game homestand. Cubs are 2-3 through the first 5. So tonight and tomorrow against the Brewers, and then the NL West leading San Francisco Giants come in to town on Friday, and then we're back to the road. A difficult 10-game road trip in Washington and Pittsburgh, and then we'll finish up in Houston. So the Cubs take the field. Let's check in on Ron Reinicke's Brewers Southwest starting lineup. Nori Aoki's going to get the start in center tonight. Rickie Weeks as its second, and batting second, BRAUN, RAMIREZ, HART, the heart of their order, with Jonathan Lucroy hitting .332 from behind the plate. Niger Morgan gets a start tonight in right. Rookie Gene Segura's back in there at short. Mike Fiers, the pitcher, hits ninth.
And here's how the Cubs will line it up defensively tonight. Soriano in left, Jackson in center, DeJesus over in right field. David was a very good host out in right last night. Valbuena, Castro, Barney, and LaHare across the infield. Anthony Rizzo getting a rare day off at first base. Wellington Castillo behind the dish tonight for right-hander Jeff Samardzija. His numbers on the season, coming off a no decision against the Rockies, went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs in that ball game, struck out 7, walked a couple of hitters, gave up 2 home runs in that game, something he's going to have to avoid against this Brewers lineup tonight.
That's DJ Rayburn back at the plate. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, is at first. Bill Welke at second. Chris Guccione is at third. Season series will wrap up tomorrow afternoon on Comcast Sportsnet, as right-hander Sean Markham will face left-hander Brooks Raley.
Best seat in the house right there.
So here's Aoki playing center in the leadoff spot. He's had a good series, 4 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 3 runs.
Also walked a couple of times. Been right in the middle of everything offensively for the Brewers.
He's had a couple of good hitting streaks here in the middle of the year. 15-gamer starting in late June, and then had a 13-game streak that ended a couple of weeks ago. So Samardzija with a fastball at 95, free and easy for strike 1. One previous start this year for Jeff against Milwaukee. It was up at Miller Park on May 13th, as Bob mentioned in the open. The Cubs won that game 8-2. He got a no decision. Struck out 6 in 5 innings of work.
And very important for Jeff Samardzija and any Cubs pitcher that faces off against this Brewers offense to work the inside part of the plate, establish that fastball inside. A little easier for Jeff to do with that 95, 96 mile per hour sinker than some of the other pitchers on the Cubs staff. But I think the Brewers are beginning a lot of aggressive swings because they just don't respect the fact that the Cubs are going to come inside hard. Rickie Weeks did take one off the hip last night, but really that's the only occasion we've seen a Cubs pitcher really bust a Brewer hitter inside.
2-2 on the way, and more trouble as Aoki continues to dominate Cubs pitching here in his rookie campaign. It's a leadoff double.
That's a common thing, Len. You kind of take a guy like Aoki for granted. He's a little guy. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs. But you just can't throw fastballs down the middle of the plate. He will get base hits all night long. We saw him very susceptible to really slow breaking pitches and straight changeups, but he can hit a fastball.
Now Rickie Weeks with the big 3 to follow: BRAUN, RAMIREZ, and HART. And oh yeah, Jonathan Lucroy lurking in that 6th spot, as you mentioned. 1 ball, no strikes. 3 of those 5 hits came Monday night. Brewers in a very good stretch. They've won 7 of their last 8, including 4 of 5 to start this road trip. They had lost 14 of 15 on the road before this trip started in Pittsburgh. They won 2 of 3 there and taken the first 2 in this series. On the ground, and it kicks foul at the last possible second.
It looked like it just caught the edge of the grass there down the third baseline. That last bounce kicked into foul territory. Probably a good thing. That's going to be a tough play for Luis Valbuena, throwing across his body, trying to get Ricky Weeks at first base. Right there. Kicked into foul territory. Running the count to 1-2. This is just the way you would dial it up, partner. We talked about it last night. It's the best weather of the year so far on this homestand. We did have the one rainy day on Sunday, but temperatures absolutely ideal. Wind not really much of a factor at all.
Slight east breeze at 4 miles an hour. 78 degrees. And most importantly, clear. Still 1-2 on Weeks. Nice play by a young fan in the third row, right behind the Cubs on deck circle. Watch this. Here it comes. Oh, actually, it was the adult who made the play, but good guy gave it to a kid sitting right next to him. That is caught by Valbuena. Right at the shoe tops, made the catch. So that's a first out.
Luis Valbuena has been tested quite a bit down there. We're only 2 hitters into the ball game. Hooking line drive. Kept the working farther to his right, but able to keep the glove down there around his shoes and make the catch.
Now Braun. '07 his rookie year, he hit .324. Following year, '08, .285, but he hit 37 home runs. Hit .320 in 2009, .304 in 2010, .332 to win the MVP last year. And up over the 300 mark again this season. He has been incredibly consistent since the day he got to the big leagues. And that's going to get in. Aoki had to make sure Castro wasn't going to make the catch, so he can only advance a base. First and third for the dangerous ARAMIS Ramirez.
Like a cutter or a baby slider that stayed in the strike zone. Braun hit it off the end of the bat. See that ball trying to work its way off the plate outside, but Braun gets to it, reaches out there, extends his swing, and gets enough to line it into left field.
As we always say, watch for Braun. He likes to run. Be a little more conservative with cleanup hitter at the plate.
ARAMIS swung at the first pitch.
Shocker.
I think it was around 37% of the time he swings at the first pitch. venture a guess that number goes up with runners in scoring position.
Aramis hitting .324 when he puts that first pitch in play. This play as Braun got back. So he does a lot of damage in this spot. It's past that spot now. Brewers signed him to a 3-year, $36 million deal over the offseason as he left the Cubs to go to Milwaukee. On the ground, they'll try to turn it here. Valbuena, Barney, not in time. Just wasn't hit hard enough. So Ramirez will get his 82nd RBI. And the Brewers get a first inning run.
Well, we know from past experience, Aramis Ramirez doesn't always go hard down that first baseline, but if he's got a chance to get an RBI by avoiding the double play, he gets a pretty good time down that first baseline. That time able to beat the relay throw from Darwin Barney, as you mentioned. Ball just wasn't hit hard enough to turn it over.
Well, Ramirez at first and Corey Hart with a foul strike. He busted his tail down the line. Avoids that double play, gets the RBI, and keeps the inning alive. Look, a pretty good pitch. Samardzija didn't get it.
The Nissan pitch tracks will show that sinker. Once again, a sloppy receiving job that time by Wellington Castillo. That ball was right at the knees on the inside corner. He was set up so far inside, he was reaching back to his right to catch that pitch. You can see where he's set up almost behind Corey Hart. That pitch is all over the plate, but you can see he pushes it way down near the ankles as he received the ball. Rarely going to get a call on that one.
Another close one that missed. 2-2. LUCROY on deck. He had the night off last night. Swing and a miss to end the inning. The Brewers strike first. Mike Fiers to the mound when we come back. Was it Travis Wood, the third inning home run? I'll try to get a lot more tonight against Mike Fiers. Here's their Southwest starting lineup. DeJesus, Valbuena, and Castro at the top. Soriano, Lahair in for Anthony Rizzo. Wellington Castillo catches. Brett Jackson's had a big homestand. Darwin Barney, known more for his defense, hitting 8th in Samardzija 9th.
Here's how the Brewers will line it up defensively tonight. Braun in left, Aoki in center, Nyjer Morgan over in right field tonight. It'll be Ramirez, Segura, Weeks, and Hart third to first across the infield. Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching tonight for right-hander Mike Fiers. Fiers was the 2011 Brewers minor league pitcher of the year, 13-3 with a 1.86 ERA at AA Huntsville and AAA Nashville. See his arsenal of pitches relies heavily on the cutter, a high fastball at the top of the zone, and that nasty curveball.
27 years old. He's from Hollywood, Florida. Lives in Pompano Beach.
Delivery a little reminiscent of perhaps Chris Young. Tall guy, high front side with the left arm as he makes his delivery toward home plate. Maybe a little Josh Colementor mixed in there.
0-2 on DeJesus.
He's not going to be overpowering with his fastball. Really relies on getting that four-seamer up there at the top of the zone and then complements it with that nasty curveball.
Only previous appearance against the Cubs was here at Wrigley last year on September 21st. One relief inning. So this is his first career start against the Cubs. Braun for out number 1.
Fiers has had some good outings this year against good hitting ball clubs. A real nice outing back in May against the White Sox, against the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Cardinals. More recently, the Reds on August 7th, when 8 innings, gave up only 3 hits and 1 run, struck out 7 Reds in that game, didn't walk a batter.
Valbuena made a couple of nice defensive plays in the ball game last night. Takes a strike.
And not surprisingly, for a guy that relies heavily on a curveball, his worst outing came at Coors Field, where breaking balls just refused to break. In only 2 innings in that game, gave up 9 hits and 8 earned runs against the Rockies.
One in the dirt. You can imagine a young pitcher have a high uniform number in spring training, 64, but decided to keep it.
You're pretty sure nobody's going to want it if they happen to come to the Brewers in a trade. It'll be yours for life.
Yep.
You know, in our bleacher game from the right field corner last night, we had Aoki playing right in front of us with his heels against the warning track, doing the same thing in center field tonight. Look for some balls maybe to drop in front of him out there in center field tonight.
A high foul pop. Lucroy looking at Ramirez. The third baseman will take it.
Jonathan Lucroy's thankful for that, because I don't believe he ever really saw that ball. He was just kind of drifting in the vicinity where he thought it was. He's telling his own bench, I never saw it. But Ramirez had a beat on it. Second out of the inning.
So with Rizzo out of the lineup, Castro hits third. Day after he agreed to a 7-year contract extension. Wind in the 1-0 right down the middle. With Rizzo out of the lineup for just the second time since he came up, Brian LaHare will get his second start at first in the last couple of weeks. Lined out in the left center. Castro on his way to second with a 2-out double.
And there was Len Aoki playing deep, taking a very deep line to this ball in the gap in left center field, and Castro realizes it right away. I might be able to get to second on this one. Any center fielder playing a normal depth would have cut straight across to his right and gotten to that ball, but when Aoki gets to it, he's on the warning track.
Well, I bet you when Jim Edmonds was playing here as a Cardinal and later as a Cub right at the end of his career, I bet he played 40-50 feet in front of where Aoki is tonight.
I think you're absolutely right. Maybe more against certain hitters. Ryan Braun's always played a fairly deep left field, even though he's much more accomplished as a fielder now than he was when he initially moved to left field. He still plays very deep out there, and
Morgan is too. This is about as deep as you'll see an outfield play in this ballpark.
Not unusual to see this late in a ball game, a no doubles defense, but not in the first inning.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. That was the curveball.
Well, that's a good one. Good old-fashioned drop ball. 12-6 break, goes straight down toward the ground. Very little lateral movement at all.
That's a sign from Lucroy. Here's the pitch. 3-1. LaHare on deck. Just underway. The Brewers got a run on the top of the first on a Ramirez fielder's choice. Aoki had doubled to start the game. Ramirez dives, can't get it, but Segura does. Dug out by Corey Hart. What a play on both ends. And that ends the inning. 1-0 Milwaukee. At Wrigley Field, game time is 1:20, but come out early. The first 10,000 fans through the gates will receive Cubs lip balm, compliments of Apple Vacations. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Jonathan Lucroy looks at strike one. Comes in at a very impressive 332 on the year. He's hit 8 home runs, 3 of which have been against the Cubs. 2 against them 9 days ago in Milwaukee. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Good heat from Samardzija early on. First pitch of the night was 95. That one in 96.
Well, on our Nissan pitch tracks, look at the first 2 pitches, both called strikes right at the edge of the zone, low and away, and then comes back with an elevated fastball for the swinging strike 3. That's just textbook right there by Jeff Samardzija.
One and nothing on Morgan, who's playing right.
Probably see Morgan at some point in the ball game tonight try to bunt for a base hit. Big part of his arsenal offensively.
There you go. Bunts foul.
Nyjer Morgan's a little like Juan Pierre or guys of that ilk. That's a big part of his game. Tony Campana, get the ball on the ground, force the defense to make a perfect play to get you. That time just bunted it foul right behind home plate.
See 3 home runs. They've all been hit at Miller Park. According to Fangraphs, Jeff Samardzija's average fastball clocked at 95 miles an hour. Only Steven Strasburg and David Price averaging a faster fastball. That one in 97.
Well, you mentioned it after the first pitch of the game, Len. Easy gas. He doesn't have to work very hard to throw it in the mid-90s. He can keep his mechanics together, not try to overthrow that pitch. Very effective.
Good splitter in the dirt. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He's fanned 3 in a row going back to the first inning.
Nyjer Morgan just tried to steal first.
Well, we say you can't do that.
Well, you can try. I'm not sure what the thinking was there.
Well, the pitch hit the dirt. It was fielded cleanly by Castillo. The other thing is he was almost in the dugout before he took off for first, which I don't believe you're allowed to do anymore. Got to kind of make your first movement toward first.
Get off me, ball. Wow. Talk about a defensive swing. Segura started the bat at a pitch he thought he was going to be able to get the barrel on, and then that late movement put it right in on his knuckles. Just tried to fight it off. Ultimately,
he pulled that one right out of Castillo's glove.
Another high fastball.
So he's got the 3rd fastest fastball in the majors, and Samardzija also has the 2nd fastest cutter, 91.6 miles an hour. Edwin Jackson of the Nationals throws his over 92. De Jesus back now in, and that's the inning. An impressive 1-2-3 second for Samardzija. 1-0 Brewers early.
Authenticated Cubs memorabilia. From game-used baseballs, bases, and jerseys to autographed bats and photos, Cubs Authentics has the most exclusive Cubs memorabilia. Visit the Wrigley Field Concourse, the Cubs store, or email CubsAuthentic@Cubs.com for all your memorabilia needs.
Cubs will bat here in the second against rookie Mike Fiers. Well, another interesting surname for a pitcher. Usually pitchers are paid to put out. Figurative. Fiers.
Nickname should be Sparky.
Right.
Blazing.
He has been hot this year, so to speak, in terms of how he's pitched, as Brian LaHair greets him with a solid single into center. This is Fiers' 17th start. He has 11 quality starts out of his first 16.
This should be a good matchup for Brian LaHair tonight. He struggled recently with guys with real good fastballs in the mid to upper 90s. A lot of guys struggle on those fastballs, but as we mentioned earlier, Fiers not overpowering. His fastball will be 88 to 90. Pretty straight, with the exception of that cutter that'll have a little movement into the lefties.
Into the gap in left center for Castillo. Going to bang up against the wall near the 368 marker, and he has a double. Second and third, nobody out.
Boy, well struck by Wellington Castillo, an 87-mile-per-hour heater right down at the bottom of the zone, according to our Nissan pitch tracks, and that huge gap in left center field. Brian LaHair running hard, rounds a bag at second, one last look, and then picks up Pat Listash. When he saw that the relay throw was on the money, he had to hold up LaHair at third base.
Good RBI chance for Brett Jackson. Five for 13 so far on the homestand with 3 home runs. Curveball missed. One and one. There's a changeup.
Not a great location for Fiers, but got the desired result. Had Brett Jackson way out in front of that one.
Up 2-1. Fiers was drafted in the 22nd round out of Nova Southeastern University in 2009. Bounced around a little bit in college, Cumberland Community College, Broward, and then Nova Southeastern. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2. LaHair at third, Castillo at second. Cubs trail 1-0, but threatening. A little bit outside, 3-2. Barney on deck. Be a record-setting night for Darwin on defense. Already has tied the National League record for consecutive errorless games at second base, 113 and counting. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for out number 1.
Good curveball. That one started up near the belt, ended up out of the strike zone low.
Tough pitch to lay off, even though, as you said, it landed way out of the strike zone. At some point on its way to the plate, it's very much in that strike zone, and it looks hittable.
Yep. Fires kind of slipped under the radar. A 22nd round draft pick. You like his combination of pitches. As I mentioned, using that fastball, especially at the top of the zone. We've seen plenty of that curveball already. He's thrown a couple of real nice straight changeups. Hasn't even featured his cutter very often so far.
See how they handle Barney here. They do have a base open with Samardzija on deck. And ball 1 to Barney. He has tied David Eckstein's National League single season record. You think about how many chances he's had during this streak. 113 consecutive games without an error at second base. Now, during the stretch, he did make an error, but it was as a shortstop filling in for STARLIN Castro. Ground ball to short. This is going to tie the game. Segura gets the out at first. LaHair is in, and it's 1-1.
Just good situational hitting by Darwin Barney with the infield playing back. Just play pepper with those guys up the middle of the field. And that's exactly what he does. Just a slow grounder up the middle of the field. Brian LaHair able to trot home with the first run of the game for the Cubs.
Now Samardzija, who during batting practice will park an occasional 52-mile-an-hour fastball onto Waveland Avenue. Do we know what the average speed of a batting practice fastball is? Should get the radar gun out some afternoon around 4:30.
And you also have to take into consideration that it's usually delivered from around 45 to 50 feet. They put the temporary mound on wheels up in front of the regular mound.
And it's usually delivered by a guy who's in his late 40s to anywhere in the late 60s or 97 years old. As in the case of Chris Bosio. 1-1 after 2.
Up at Miller Park, Darwin Barney learned a very valuable lesson. Get out of the way when Rickie Weeks is breaking up two. Darwin barely got his cleats out of the ground, got flipped high in the air, crashed down to the ground. In last night's ball game, a little different story. Barney got rid of the ball a little bit quicker, gets up in the air, jumps over the sliding Rickie Weeks. No harm, no foul. All part of the learning process for a young player at the major league level, and Darwin Barney still learning that position.
Ball one on the pitcher, fires. 1 for 23 as a big league hitter. Only hit came in his last start. It was a bunt single. I was telling James Rowson, Cubs hitting coach, before the game, as a starting staff, and I would include Chris Russin in this. Chris is currently back at Iowa, but will probably be here once we get into September. Top to bottom, Bob, I think all of the Cubs' current starting pitchers, they have hitters' swings, more so than any staff I think the Cubs have had since we've been here. I mean, Jeff Samardzija, Travis Wood hit a home run last night. Chris Volstad had 2 really good swings on Sunday. And we know about Raley and Russin. They handle the bat pretty well as Fires strikes out.
Weeknights, don't miss Chicago Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. Tomorrow, the Tribune's Bob Foldman and Dave Van Dyke, and Yahoo Sports Radio's Jason Gotch join host Dave Kaplan to discuss the day's hottest sports topic and set the table for the night ahead. Chicago Tribune Live, presented by Smirnoff, tomorrow night at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet.
We're discussing which of the Cubs starting pitchers is the best hitter.
I agree with you, though. These Cubs pitchers right now, top to bottom, they get their hacks.
Yep.
Make a mistake, they might hit it hard. They can at least put the ball in play, make something happen, force the defense to make plays. A couple of them run the bases extremely well. Could be used as pinch runners, have been used as pinch runners.
0-2 to Aoki. Up the middle. Castro diving stop. That's all he can do, though. And Aoki has 2 more hits tonight.
We're talking about Travis Wood and his hitting prowess. He displayed it last night. Rocket line drive to left center field. Unfortunately, that's not all the Cubs could muster last night against Giovanni Gallardo and the Brewers bullpen.
So he's hit 1 homer per year in his first 3 seasons in the big leagues. Weeks lined out to Valbuena in the first inning. Good lead by Aoki. Already a couple of steals in the series. And Samardzija throws over.
You know, Len, you saw that play by Starlin Castro to get to that slow ground ball up the middle of the field. Had to dive way out behind second base to get to the ball. As he gets more playing time and more experience, those are the kind of balls that a guy like Omar Vizquel or Ozzie Smith in his prime, they just let him roll through into center field. They know they have no chance to make the play at first base if you dive that far up the middle of the field with a fast runner running out of the box. Starlin Castro is still going to give every ground ball his best effort, but with experience, you know which plays you can make, which plays you have no chance to make. There's no sense putting your body through that punishment if you have no chance to make a play. Can't get to it on your feet, let it roll through to Brett Jackson.
And there are other times in a late ball game with a runner at second when you do want to dive just to keep it on the infield, but that's a very different situation than this one here in the 3rd inning.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I don't know what the Brewers' plans are for Aoki in terms of being a full-time player. He did not start the year as a full-time outfielder. He can play all 3 spots out there, but You know, assuming Corey Hart is here and he wants to stay with the Brewers, if you have Braun and Hart may play some first base. A lot depends on Matt Gamble, but you get so much power from Hart and Braun. Nori Aoki fits very well in that mix. I don't know if we've seen him defensively quite enough to rate him based on what we've seen. He plays deep, we know that.
Yeah,
he's putting together a pretty solid first year. Rickie Weeks sends that one out into deep center. Brett Jackson with a nice reach and grab on the warning track, sending Aoki back to first.
Two rocket line drive outs for Rickie Weeks already in this ball game. He lined out to Valbuena at third in his first at bat, and it takes a great running catch by Brett Jackson to keep him out of the hit column on that one.
I think if Rickie Weeks gets back to the guy he was offensively prior to this year, he had been their leadoff hitter for quite some time. You put Aoki in between Weeks and Braun, probably where Renicky ideally would put him. But Aoki's been better, so he's batting ahead of Weeks. A lot of Doug Melvin's offseason, though, will be spent on pitching, figuring out what their starting staff will look like next year.
Yep. And getting back to Aoki just for a moment, when he's not in the starting lineup, he's been a very valuable weapon off the bench. 8 for 21 as a pinch hitter this season. He could steal a base. As you said, we talked about his outfield defense. He plays very deep. He's a little bit cautious because he plays so deep, but seems to be serviceable no matter where Ron Renicky puts him out there in the outfield.
He's signed through next year. They have a club option on him for 2014. We'll see Sean Markham on the mound tomorrow. The Brewers reportedly have put him on waivers, so it's still possible if somebody claims him, if the Brewers could work out a deal, or if nobody claims him, they could trade him someplace before we hit September 1st. Markham will make his second start off the DL. Braun into the left field corner. Aoki is going to be sent by Ed Cedar. Castro with a relay throw, and Aoki stopped. I didn't see if Cedar then took the go sign off. He was going to send him. I think Cedar's talking to him about why he didn't go. I thought he sent him.
Yeah, when I saw Cedar waving him in, I immediately watched the relay out there in left field. Cedar comes way down the line. He's waving him around, and then throws up the stop sign at the last instant. That's not unusual to see a third base coach do that. You want the guy to continue to run through the bag at third base, and once you see that that relay throw is on target to the cutoff man, then you throw up that late stop sign.
It's easier to stop a guy than to send him then stop him, as opposed to the other way around. Want to know on Ramirez.
Boy, a nice job on the relay that time. Castro went out a few extra steps to get the ball a little bit more quickly from Alfonso Soriano, and that was the difference in Cedar throwing up that late stop sign.
Well, you make a great point. These are the little things. I know Dale Swaim and Dave McKay talking with the outfielders, and Dale with the infielders. When they see throws from the outfield, hit the grass once or twice, and it's happened this year. You know, he's talked about these infielders. Hey, you know, go help your guys all the way at the wall. Cut it off before it rolls. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
And Soriano really couldn't get much on the throw. His momentum was carrying him toward the foul pole, so Starlin Castro went out 2, maybe 3 steps farther into the outfield on that cutoff than he normally would.
And the other part of it you alluded to, I think the faster the infielder actually has the ball, regardless of how deep he is, that does affect what the third base coach wants to do. Got him to chase. And Ramirez strikes out, and the Brewers strand 2 in scoring position. It's still 1-1.
Fires in his fastball that he elevates, and the curveball. This is the different grip. On your left, you see the fastball grip. His hand is behind the baseball. On the right, you see the curveball grip. His hand is on the right side of the ball. The rotation on those 2 pitches is almost exactly opposite. The fastball has a lot of pure backspin. The curveball has a lot of pure overspin. But you could clearly see by the grip at release, that's what a hitter looks for. What part of his hand am I seeing when he releases that baseball? And if you see the heel of his hand coming forward, right away you should know that's going to be a curveball.
1 strike on David DeJesus, second time through the order now. And he pops it up. This is Gene Segura. Time now for our AT&T mobility question. You name the 2 Brewer rookie pitchers who have multiple games with double-digit strikeouts. Well, I'm going to go with Mike Fiers.
Yeah.
They lead the majors in strikeouts. We've talked a lot about their ability to miss bats. So I'll say Mike Fiers this year. Maybe. Ben Sheets be another possibility. 3 balls, no strikes from Valbuena. Three and 1. And ball 4.
It's been a rarity for Fiers this season. Coming into tonight, 93 and 2/3 innings pitched, 96 strikeouts, only 22 walks, almost a 5-to-1 ratio, strikeout to walk.
Castro swings at the first pitch. Morgan comes racing in from right. He's a center fielder by trade, so a lot of speed out there in right.
It's a whole new era at Wrigley Field. Be part of it with Vine Line, the official magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Vine Line gives you insider access to all your favorite Cubs from the past, present, and future. Subscriptions start at just $29.95. For more information and to order, visit Cubs.com/VineLine.
You got to help me out here, partner. I'm trying to come up with the other rookie in Brewers history with 2 double-digit strikeout games in the season. Maybe Chris Bosio. I'm going to go with the Cubs pitching coach.
There's usually some kind of a connection.
Yeah. Well, if it's Fiers and Bosio, they're both in the ballpark, so that would make sense. Right under our nose.
Just looking at the stat sheet here, Fiers struck out 10 against the Diamondbacks earlier this year. He struck out 10 last time out against the Pirates. So we know he's won.
Jaime Kokenauer, Bill Wegman, who's not a strikeout pitcher, Cal Eldred. We're going to go with Bosio. Just in time, because I know if we didn't get it, we were going to hear it from him. Inside corner strike, 1-2. In on his hands, and he hits a lazy infield pop-up. Segura puts it in his pocket, and that's the inning. A walk, no runs. We've completed 3. It's 1-1.
Locos Tacos from Taco Bell.
Our Menards winner tonight, James Sinani from Mundelein, Illinois. So the batter's box, courtesy of James tonight.
Thank you, James. Did a nice job.
Corey Hart not thrilled with that slider that caught the outside corner, according to DJ Rayburn. Samardzija is 0-1. Another slider. This one dips low. Get into all the other action tonight around baseball. There were some finals from earlier today. As Hart taps it foul. Dodgers beat the Rockies in a wild slugfest, 10-8. A.J. Ellis with a grand slam. Rockies scored 7 in the 8th, but the Dodgers were able to hold them off. Cincinnati behind Matt Latos, who got his 11th win, beat the Diamondbacks 6-2. The Reds now with their 80th win in their 132nd game. The last Reds team to get there that fast to 80 wins was the Big Red Machine, 1976, with its 80th win in game number 125. (3-2) up the middle, base hit. Pirates winning again after a 9-0 win last night over St. Louis. A 5-0 lead. Pedro Alvarez has homered again. He hit 2 last night. So they go into the 7th in that one. Back to the Reds for a moment. Last night, Johnny Cueto got his major league leading 17th win, leading the NL in ERA at 2.48. Can you say Cy Young? He's making a very good push. And yes, I know he wasn't an all-star, but
that doesn't matter.
I don't think he cares at this point.
He pitched like Cy Young against the Cubs this year. I know that.
The 0-1 pitch. Wide for a ball, 1-1. I don't have the exact number. You'll probably know if I'm right or wrong, but the note we had on Cueto, his ERA since the beginning of last year hasn't been above like 263.
You're absolutely correct.
It's incredible. See if they can turn it here. Not hit very hard, but they do have LUCROY running, and no, they cannot. They do get Hart. One away.
LUCROY actually runs pretty good. I hate to say this for a catcher, but another slowly hit ball, very tough to turn to. That time Darwin Barney used the base to help protect himself. He came off the back of the bag at second rather than stride toward first base. He would have been right in line with the sliding Corey Hart, so he kind of came off the back of the bag, helped use the base to protect himself.
Fouled off by Morgan. Nationals are trying to end a 5-game losing streak, and they have a 5-3 lead at Miami in the bottom of the 7th. Bryce Harper has 2 home runs, and I guess one of them was just a monster shot to right.
Backhanded pick out of the dirt on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball that forced Nigel Morgan to jump rope that time. For this one, anytime it hits over where the batter has their feet dug into that batter's box, real risk for a bad hop. There are some holes. You don't really see them from that particular camera angle, but you see those hitters come up to the plate and dig that big hole to plant that back foot, occasionally that pitch will hit right on the edge of that hole. Well, and you mentioned that Pirates 9-0 victory over the Cardinals last night. Bigger loss for the Cardinals could be Yadier Molina, listed as day-to-day, but man, did he take a hit at home plate. And reportedly, he passed all the concussion tests immediately after the ball game, but he had a sprained neck and upper back.
Morgan strikes out. Samardzija has 6 already, 2 outs. Padres lead the Braves 6-1 in the 8th inning. Last night, Atlanta with a 2-0 win. That snapped the Padres' 8-game winning streak. How about Chris Medlin? The Braves recently put Ben Sheets on the DL. Chris Medlin has a scoreless streak that's reached 28 1/3 innings. The Braves have won his last 17 consecutive starts.
Wow.
And he's made 24 in his career. The Braves are 20-4 when he has started for them. Right back to Samardzija. Nice play, and he'll get Segura to end the inning. So he works around the leadoff single, and we'll go to the bottom of the 4th in a 1-1 tie. Brewer rookie pitchers, multiple games in a single season with double digits in strikeouts.
All over.
Took us a little while to get there, but eventually we did. All right, you ready for this? Made his debut in '86. Chris Bosio. Who was his first manager?
Ooh. 86.
A little twist on this. It wasn't the first time this guy managed the Brewers. See, this is a part of the tenure that a lot of people forgot. George Bamberger. Remember Bambi's Bombers? Back in the late 70s and into 1980. Well, Bambi came back in 85 and 86. Fortunately, he was under 500 both years and replaced by Tom Trebelhorn late in the '86 season. Then they had a lot of continuity. Trebelhorn was there through '91. Phil Garner from '92 to '99. Fly ball out to left. And it's Ryan Braun to haul it in. Some great nicknames back then, didn't they? Bambi's Bombers, Harvey's Wallbangers.
I like that one.
First manager in Brewers history was Dave Bristol. I guess technically it was Joe Schultz, but that was the Seattle Pilots in their 1 year, 1969, before they moved to Milwaukee. Bud Selig purchased the team and made County Stadium their home.
I'm sure you've read Jim Bouton's book Ball 4.
Oh yeah.
He has a lot of good stories about Joe Schultz and his creative use of the language and combinations of words that normally wouldn't be used together in a sentence. None of which we can repeat here on the air.
Oh, are you correct? You know, he was born in Chicago, Joe Schultz.
Really?
Two and two on Castillo. Got him on that curveball. Well, not much you can do there.
That's a knee knocker right there.
Just hope the umpire doesn't call it, I guess.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, he starts that pitch way up and in, drops it right down on the inside part of the plate. I called it a knee knocker. I had a coach one time that called it a butt tucker because you could see from Wellington Castillo's reaction, the first movement was to do what I said.
Jackson in the left, and this will end the inning. So the Cubs go down in order for the first time tonight. 1-1 to the fifth.
Why not bring them to the ballpark? The Nuveen Investment Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55 guests and include food, beverage, and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-4200. If you're lucky, they may serve cookies in the new V suite, and you can take a bite right before you go on the air.
Yeah. Strike two. Mike fires. Oh, and 2. How about that? He was just taking. Just put the bat on his shoulder and thought, okay, throw me a strike. I'll just head back to the dugout.
Put a white flag on the barrel of that bat. He didn't want anything to do with that last pitch.
He swings over the top of a 95-mile-an-hour buzzer. Strikeout number 7 for Jeff. Baseball's a funny game. Steven Strasburg struggling last night. And so did Justin Verlander. He was charged with 8 earned runs at Kansas City. I don't gamble games. I don't do that sort of thing. But going into last night, if you had Steven Strasburg and Justin Verlander pitching, would you expect both those guys to get knocked around?
No.
That's
never
why,
expect.
Partly why I don't bet.
Yeah, either one of those guys get knocked around. You know, they may get beaten, may lose their command for an inning or two, walk a couple guys, give up a big hit, but you never expect them to get beaten up.
We're going to get Aoki for the first time tonight. And Soriano makes a grab and left.
Jeff Samardzija extremely happy. Finally retired Aoki. Yes.
Weeks is lined out twice. They'll be announcing that Target Field will host the All-Star Game in 2014. Next year it'll be in New York at Citi Field. Twins hosted back in 1965 at the old Met. Actually, it wasn't the Twins at the time. It would have been the Senators, 65, and then in 85. No, it was the Twins. I'm all messed up. The Senators became the Twins. So 65 at the Met, 85 at the Metrodome. And now Target Field in 2014. You see the other notes. Mentioned Johnny Cueto and Vance Worley of the Phillies on the DL. Weak swings and misses. Samardzija with a quick 1-2-3 in the 5th. Still 1-1. Mike Fiers' first career start against the Cubs. And pitching well tonight. A strike on Darwin Barney. Samardzija will bat, as will DeJesus. Darwin knocked in the game-tying run on a ground out in the second. Key Weeks, one away. Qdoba Mexican Grill, the official Mexican grill of the Cubs, and Wrigley Field would like to give you free chips and queso just for opting in to their mobile club. Text Q1 to 5500. That's 50500. And you'll enjoy Qdoba's famous chips and queso. Samardzija gets a hold of one. Aoki, however, backpedaling, makes a catch.
Doesn't have far to backpedal. He plays deep even for Jeff Samardzija.
DeJesus will take his time getting into the batter's box after 2 quick outs. Hey fans, join the Twitter buzz right now at hashtag Cubs Talk. Chase Utley took some ground balls at third base before the game tonight. He played third back in the minor leagues. Just trying to increase his versatility a little bit. Oh, and 2. Called strike 3, and just like that, the 5th inning is over. We go to the 6th. Cubs 1, Brewers 1.
Of the fastball and curveball for Mike Fiers. Now we're going to show you Jeff Samardzija's fastball on the left, his hands behind the ball, his fingers together. The splitter on the right, his hand, his arm, everything is in the same slot. The only difference is he splits the index and middle finger. That's why I like that pitch so much, Len. Everything is exactly the same as your fastball with the exception of widening out those 2 fingers. Gets completely different action, completely different velocity on that pitch. Not easy for a hitter to see that at all.
Braun, Ramirez, and Hart have combined. They go 3 for 6 with an RBI tonight. 1 strike to Braun. We want to congratulate Brandon Hyde, announced today as the Cubs' new director of player development. Joined the Cubs as the minor league field coordinator in the offseason. High and deep. Jackson, though, is going to have room, and he's got it. Samardzija, I think, was saying a prayer as that ball left the bat. Then it was answered.
Yeah, perhaps just enough wind to keep that one in the ballpark. A high fly ball to straightaway center, but Brett Jackson had a beat on it the whole way. And a smile from Samardzija to Ryan Braun as he jogged off the field.
Here's Ramirez outside for a ball. Brandon Hyde had spent 9 years in the Marlins organization. He was the bench coach for a year and a half from the middle part of 2010 until the end of last year, and actually managed the team for a game between the tenures of Edwin Rodriguez and Jack McKeon. Jackson in to make the catch. Speaking of player development, the Arizona Fall League rosters have been announced, and the 2012 Mesa Solar Sox chock full of Cubs. The hitting coach will be Brian Harper, the Daytona manager. Pitchers Daeun Rhee, Kevin Roderick, he's on the taxi squad. Zach Rosscup, Nick Strunk, Tony Zitch, Javier Baez, and Ruby Silva, infielders, and outfielder Matt Caesar. So you'll have to stop on over to Hohokam Park.
That's actually the first time I met Brandon Hyde. He was managing the Mesa team in the Arizona Fall League back in '09.
Nice running grab by Soriano as Hart flies out. And Samardzija again makes quick work here in the 6th. Still 1-1. The week's hottest highlights and inside stories from Chicagoland's standout prep stars. High School Lights, presented by Lemonhead Candy. Friday nights at 10:30, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. One strike on Luis Valbuena. The 7th inning stretch coming up, brought to you by Captain Morgan. One of the great jam bands around today, and there's Chicago's own Humphreys McGee. Will handle the stretch, and it will take 11.5 minutes to complete.
We'll love every minute of it.
Yeah. Be like halftime at the Super Bowl.
First time I heard Humphreys McGee was at Lollapalooza in '06. Just caught the very tail end of their set and was immediately enamored. Tremendous musicians.
Buena strikes out. A newborn Cubs fan. The newborn fan club is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Receive a customized photo announcing the birth on the Wrigley Field marquee, Cubs birth certificate, Cubs baby stocking cap, and a Cubs Rookie of the Year onesie. Perfect for parents and friends alike. Visit Cubs.com for more info and to sign up today. Brewers pitching staff tonight has a ways to go to get to double digits again, but they've already put together a modern baseball record streak. 8 straight games of at least 10 strikeouts. Fiers has 4 currently. Line right at Ramirez.
Nice at bat by Starlin. Waited on that curveball, hit it right on the button, unfortunately, right at former teammate ARAMIS Ramirez at third base.
10 in a row now set down by Fiers. Last night, I mentioned the Cubs' only run came on the home run by Travis Wood. The Cubs didn't have a base runner after the 3rd inning. It's been the same here tonight. Brewers pitching retired the final 19 batters of the game. A lot of flyouts for Fiers with that high fastball. There's a curveball, bounced foul. This is not always the case, but there are patterns to pitches that work together. And a lot of pitchers with the high fastball have a good curveball. They work vertically in the strike zone. A lot of guys who throw a sinking fastball have a good slider that goes with it. You hear a sinker slider guy all the time. Well, there are some sinker ballers who throw a curveball. I think of Brandon Webb, right? One of those guys who had a great sinker but threw a curve.
And some organizations teach one style or prefer one style over the other.
Brewers thought Soriano went around. He did not.
The Dodgers for years were a team that relied a lot on four-seam fastballs and curveballs, going all the way back to the days of Sandy Koufax. That one way out in front of home plate. Looked like Soriano was able to check. The Mets were another organization that used to like guys that threw high four-seamers and big curveballs. Sometimes your field conditions will determine what kind of pitchers you try to develop. Back in the day here at Wrigley Field, when the infield grass used to be about 3 feet deep, you wanted sinker ball pitchers, guys that would put the ball on the ground. Back in the days of AstroTurf, ground balls were not good. You wanted fly ball, strikeout type pitchers. And every now and then you run into a pitcher like our buddy Larry Anderson, one of the fine broadcasters for the Philadelphia Phillies, who just threw all sliders.
Make it easy.
The human slider.
Crack bat, one hopper to Ramirez. That was ugly.
Ouch.
We go to the 7th, 1-1.
Game when he hit the ball well. Fred Jackson with a great running catch on the warning track right in front of the 368 mark to take away extra bases.
LUCROY, Morgan, and Segura. And Samardzija works into the 7th. That's become a good pattern lately. Already the 4th time this month he's worked into the 7th. His longest outing of the year was his first, 8 2/3 in a 4-3 win over the Nationals. It's James Russell up in the bullpen. Well, the other thing you like, the 7 innings his last time out, 99 pitches. He started the 7th with 85. That's number 87. Well, the rough ones are the 5 innings, 107 pitches. And he's throwing strikes. That last outing, he really made some adjustments, realized what pitches were there for him and which ones weren't, and just dealing with it. Said it might have been the start he's most proud of because of the way he battled to get through the 7. It's been a little more comfortable here tonight. He's gotten some help from his defense, as we just showed you the Jackson play. That one missed badly. 2-2 on LUCROY.
Those last 2 fastballs elevated in the zone, just tried to overthrow both of them. His mechanics came apart a little bit at the end, just didn't finish the pitch the way he'd like to. Tough catch that time by Wellington Castillo. It's a valuable lesson for any pitcher, Len, to learn how to compete when you don't have your best stuff. It's going to happen to every pitcher. I've heard some guys say that if you start 32 games a year, 5 times you're going to have no-hitter stuff, 5 times you're going to have absolutely nothing. But it's what you do with those other 22 starts when you maybe have a good fastball but you don't have a slider, or you can't spot your fastball but your splitter is really good. Finding ways to get through those games when you don't have all of your weapons available and still give your team a chance to win. That's where Jeff's at right now, trying to learn those lessons.
Another 2-2 pitch, just blew it past him.
Just absolutely rushed him on our BMO Harris pitch tracks. Nothing fancy about that at all. Just rear back, throw it as hard as you can to the outer part of the plate. A little bit of tailing action. Doesn't have much time to tail. It gets up there so quickly.
Bunted by Morgan. Samardzij's throw, a bad one off the tarp. Morgan is going to try to get to second, and a good choice. Barney had a long run to go get it. A little slip by Samardzij as he made the throw. It'll be a hit and an error on Jeff.
Boy, really deadens that ball. You could see the bat recoil in his hands as that ball just trickled out in front of home plate far enough away that Castillo couldn't get to it. Samardzij's the only Cub that could possibly make a play, and in his haste to get it down there to Brian LaHair, he threw it away.
Brings up Segura. A couple of shots here for the Brewers to retake the lead. Five RBIs for Yunel Escobar as the Blue Jays beat the Yankees 8-5. Snapped CC Sabathia's 8-game winning streak against the Blue Jays going back to 2007.
Pitchers in the on-deck circle, then base open at first. Your initial instinct would be to pitch carefully to the number 8 hitter. There's nobody warming up in the Brewers bullpen, which is a pretty good indicator that they're not going to take Fires out in this situation. Kind of surprised Ron Renicky doesn't at least have a pitcher down there playing catch, and Travis Ishikawa with a bat in his hand just to send a message to Dale Swaim that I might pinch hit. But with nobody warming up, it looks like Fires is going to take the at bat in that on-deck circle.
Well, he's only made 71 pitches through 6 innings, so I don't think his manager wants to take him out because of the way he's pitched. Castillo doesn't know where it is. Right when that ball hit the dirt, Morgan took off. It's a wild pitch. The Cubs will have to bring their infield in, and a 2-0 count on Segura.
Another fastball in the dirt from Samardzij over in that left-handed batter's box. Took a big hop and came up and hit Wellington Castillo high on the chest protector and dropped straight down. He thought it went to the backstop.
Segura held up. Morgan got about halfway down the line as Castillo made that backhanded catch on the pitch. 3-0. Now 3-1.
Definitely a pitch around situation. If Jeff Samardzij throws a 3-0 slider to an 8 hitter in the lineup, that's a pretty good indication that he doesn't care if he walks Segura right here. But if Segura will chase another slider off that outside corner, he might change his mind and go right after him.
And the Brewers get the lead as Segura singles into center, Morgan in. And it's 2-1.
Oh, man. I hate to keep talking about the learning process, but I'm sure Jeff Samardzij and Wellington Castillo will tell you after the ball game they'd like a redo on that pitch right there. They'd like a mulligan. Got a base open. Get the guy to try to chase something away out of the strike zone. If he doesn't chase it, he walks. You got a double play set up, but instead they try to come inside with a fastball. Samardzija catches too much plate. Segura with an aggressive swing on the 3-1 count drives home the run.
So Fires working with a lead as he bunts foul. Second time they've led. They got a run in the first inning. Cubs came back to tie it in the second. There goes Segura, and it's bunted foul.
Getting back to that 3-1 pitch to Segura, and it's not so much the pitch selection. We've talked about this many times. If Jeff would have buried that fastball inside off the plate, the bottom line is you just don't want him to make contact with the ball. You don't care if you walk him. If he chases a bad pitch and gets himself out, okay. But you just cannot afford to make mistakes over the heart of the plate in that particular situation.
Last night it was Jeff Bianchi with a 3-run homer on a 3-0 pitch from Travis Wood. Ended up being the game winner. He got the green light, and his manager after the game admitted he was surprised that the rookie swung at it. Bunted foul, and it's a strikeout. 10 now for Samardzija. It's 1 off his career high.
Now, 3 starts ago against the Astros, he racked up 11 punch outs. Earlier this season against Atlanta at Turner Field, he racked up 11.
Goes safe, and it gets away from Castro. Got a play on him at third. It gets away. He's going to try to score. Samardzija won't even make a throw. They had Segura dead to rights at third base. Couldn't get him. You're going to have a stolen base and a couple of errors.
To look at it one more time, it looked to me like that ball got to Valbuena in the air. I'm not sure who they gave the air to. The first one to
the catcher.
Yeah, that ball has to be caught right there. That's not in the dirt.
Right now the error has been given to Darwin Barney. That's significant, Bob, because instead of having the single season record all to himself, that would end his streak at 113 games. So he would be tied with David Eckstein.
I think that one has to be changed.
It might be. At any rate, it's 3-1. So the Cubs have committed 3 errors. And Samardzija also with a wild pitch in this inning. Aoki chops to Barney. Humphreys McGee coming up with a Captain Morgan stretch.
Tonight's guest conductors for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Chicago band Humphreys McGee.
All right, everybody, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for It's a shame for 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs, yeah!
Leading off for the Cubs, a scoring change. The error has been changed. It will not be Darwin Barney to be charged with a throwing error, but Luis Valbuena instead. So 3 errors in the inning. Samardzija, Castillo, and Valbuena. Here's a 1-0 to LaHare. Ground ball to second, picked up by Ricky Weeks. 2 pitches and 1 out. Great to have with us Joel Cummins. Plays the keyboards and sings with the great band Humphreys McGee. That had to be the shortest song in the history of the band. Right? We were thinking about the jam version of that song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Like 11.5 minutes, that would have fit, right?
Are there more verses to that?
I think there are more verses, yes. You can find a little spot in the middle there to break off into a fun jam,
Just
right?
Go noodling off into the distance somewhere.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here. This is a real honor, guys.
And we also may have set a record, Joel, for the youngest 7th inning stretch singer of all time.
I believe so. Roman Bayless.
Nice.
48 days, I believe.
48 days old. Did a great job. I think he sang 2 at the end of the song. Dad gave him the microphone.
Brendan's a big Cubs fan, so he's probably been working on it at home for the past few days with Roman.
You got a couple of gigs in town this weekend.
We do. We're playing at the North Coast Music Fest down at Union Park Saturday night, and following it up with a show at the Congress Theater on Sunday night.
Great spot.
Always great to play in Chicago. Best fans in the world right here.
Now, what are some of your favorite venues in town?
Well, you know, Chicago's got so many great ones. The Auditorium Theater really stands out as a gorgeous one. We did some New Year's shows a few years ago there. Coming up, we got to play pretty much all of them. You know, the Park West, the Vic, also great venues. But yeah, it's the fans that make it special, no doubt.
That one is outside. So you released almost as many live albums as studio albums. The structure of your songs in a live setting, does it change from show to show? Do you kind of have a vibe where you just kind of know when the song needs to end?
Hopefully all 6 of us are on the same page with that one. You know, on good days that's how it is. But yeah, we try to mix it up live and play different songs, sometimes different arrangements, keep it fresh for both the band and the fans. I think that's really important to making playing 100 shows a year on the road. Make it fresh every night.
2 outs. Here's Brett Jackson. And the band formed in South Bend, right?
We did. We started at the University of Notre Dame in 1997, late 97, and stayed there for a couple years while we waited for people to graduate, and moved to Chicago in 2000.
You guys have to be big Jeff Samardzija fans then, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's really amazing how talented he is, because he was just a dominant force on the football field for Notre Dame, and then to see him come and have some good success, especially this year, has been really exciting. he's striking people out left and right.
Well, we had Buddy Guy up here a couple of nights ago, and the band recently worked with Buddy, right? The song Chicago. We did. Buddy came and played on that one with us, and we've been lucky enough to have him as a special guest a couple different times, and he's the real deal. And I mean, that's another one of those things that just I couldn't believe it when it was happening. And you know, Buddy looking over at you with that big smile on his face. He's an amazing player, great charisma too.
He's one of our favorites up here in the 7th inning. Just such a humble man for his greatness. You know, most people that are that great at what they do, they know it.
No doubt.
Called strike 3. So Mike Fiers seems to be getting stronger as he grabs his 6th strikeout. And great to have you, Joel. Joel Cummins from Humphreys McGee. Go check him out this weekend in town. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Len. Thanks, Bob.
Great to see you. Stolen base attempt here. The real mistake starts right there when Starlin Castro doesn't get in front of the ball. They had no chance to get that guy in second. Block the ball. Darwin Barney was not charged with an error on that play. I initially saw that the ball got to third base in the air. Luis Valbuena just missed the catch over there at third base. But it just points out Darwin Barney plays this game fearlessly. He's well aware of the errorless streak, but it did not stop him from trying to make the play he felt he had to make. And I think Bob Rosenberg, the official scorekeeper, got that call absolutely right that time.
So Manny Corpus will try to keep the Brewers close. So Margie gave up 3 runs, 2 were earned. No walks, 10 strikeouts for Samardzija. Thanks to Joel Cummins and Humphreys McGee. Great guys, great band, and they're huge Cub fans. One ball, 1 strike. Two and 1, 33,271 the paid crowd. $3,000 kids tonight got a UV protective swim shirt donated by the Pediatric Sun Protection Foundation. I see a lot of kids wearing them in the ballpark. It is a night game, but just trying to get them in the habit of wearing those. There's one of them. Right in the middle of the day when the sun is shining. Couple that with sunscreen, and it's the way to go. Protect your kids from the sun now. You can prevent skin cancer later. Outside, 3-2 the count on Weeks. Ryan Braun on deck. Ball 4. First walk issued tonight. And the Cubs pitching.
We talked about the other night, Len, Ricky Weeks having a subpar offensive season, but one thing he'll always do is take his walks. That's number 63 on the season for Ricky Weeks, leading off here in the 8th inning.
Interesting story out of Anaheim. Yes, there was a controversial play last night between the Red Sox and Angels. 9th inning. Eric Ibar, I guess, hit by Alfredo Aceves pitch. So Bobby Valentine was asked if he got a chance to look at it again. Andy Fletcher was a home plate umpire who made the call. This is what Valentine said today, according to ESPNBoston.com. You know, I'm sick of people asking me whether or not we saw anything from the dugout and whether or not the umpires got the call right. Their job is to get the call right. Simple. If they don't get it right, that's not the players on the field's fault for not arguing it. It's not the people in the dugout's fault for not seeing it from 80 feet away. They have a job to do. Just do it. I'm really sick of talking about that stuff. They can't do the job and get it right. You reporters should all change the system. It sounded like while Bobby didn't want to talk about it, he talked about it.
He wants somebody else to talk about it. Jim Leland had kind of a similar go-round earlier this season, challenging the writers to write what they see.
I guess there was a Vernon Wells home run last week at Fenway Park. Replay showed it should not have been a homer, but there was no video review as Ryan Braun not thrilled with tonight's home plate umpire DJ Rayburn. 1 out. Good timing, I guess, right? I think the point today was Bobby was taking that to mean that somehow it was their fault for not getting on the umpire. And he's right. You know, the umpire's job is to get the call right. Next question.
I don't care how patient you are, how cooperative you are with the local media. At some point in every baseball season, you just get tired of answering the questions, especially questions that you don't have the answer to. I think just because as you get a look at our AT&T UVerse multi-view, I think occasionally the media feels just because you're managing the ball club, you see everything from that dugout. And nothing could be further from the truth. A lot of times you don't know what happened until the ball game's over and you get a chance to go look at replays. It's not the greatest vantage point, especially in some of the ballparks in the major leagues.
A little better view after the field was reconfigured and flattened here at Wrigley. Corpus with a 1-1. It's a strike on the outside corner. Bryce Harper apparently just got ejected for throwing his helmet on the ground. C.B. Buckner, first base umpire, kicked him out.
I don't even need to see that play, and I know who's wrong.
Corpus with a quick look. And Weeks. And the pitch. 2-2. And a big night for Pedro Alvarez and a big win for the Pirates. So after losing to the Cardinals Monday night, come back with back-to-back shutout wins. Wandy Rodriguez beat Joe Kelly. Rolled into right and a base hit. Weeks makes the turn. He'll end up at third.
Now the Cubs staff has done nothing to make Ramirez uncomfortable, and he leans out over the plate, takes an outside sinker the opposite way. Just diving out over that plate. Uses a hole on the right side of the infield. Weeks had to jump over that ball as it made its way into right field, and then turns the corner and motors to third base with one out in the inning. Want the latest social media news on the Cubs? Like the official Cubs Facebook page at facebook.com/Cubs and follow the @Cubs Twitter handle for the latest updates, including team promotions, unique news, and giveaways throughout the season. I feel like I'm reading a foreign language.
Years old, yeah. You got through it.
You get that one next time.
Okay.
I'll read the lip balm.
The Pirates win tonight. That was a final game of the season series. It was 7-7 going into tonight. So the Pirates win 8 of 15. If the Pirates and Cardinals tie for the second wild card, the Pirates would host the one-game playoff to get to the one-game playoff. It could get a little hairy here at the end with this new round of playoffs. $3-0 on Corey Hart.
Well, we said it last night. If Jeff Bianchi gets the green light 3-0, you know that just about every other hitter in this Brewers lineup has that same opportunity if they get a pitch to their liking.
And he does swing away, and he fouled it off back toward the press box in the upper deck. Going to try to turn it here, and they do. 4-6-3. So while Weeks crossed the plate as that play was developing, that run won't score. Still 3-1. Jesus and the Cubs wrap up this 4-game series against Corey Hart and the rival Brew Crew. Coverage begins at 12:30 with Subaru Cubs pregame live. Cubs and the Brewers tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Darwin Barney shoots that one in the left. For a moment we thought his airless streak had come to an end, but that was quickly changed. More importantly, right now, getting on base brings a tying run to the plate, and it's Anthony Rizzo coming off the bench. He had a rough night last night, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Dale Swain before the game talking to the media about Rizzo and just how difficult this level is. And as Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, will come out, he said one day you're on top of the world, the next day feels like you're on ice skates in the batter's box. I'm sure you could relate.
Well, and the opposing pitcher has a lot to say about that, and he was facing one of the best last night. A big day in baseball history, partner. Yeah. 1977. One of our all-time favorite this day in baseball history. After 4 years in the big leagues, 1,382 major league at-bats, Dwayne Kuiper hit his first and only home run against Steve Stone.
I think he hit another ball in his career off Stone that was at the top of the wall. I mean, just missed another home run. But you're right, he hit one. We'll see your old teammate this weekend when the Giants come to town. We won't have any laughs, though. Those guys never have any fun.
Total of 3,379 at-bats in 12 big league seasons. 1 homer. That's great. You wouldn't want to hit 2. What's the point?
We wouldn't talk about it if he hit 2. Cubs are a pitch away from tying this one up. Win not really a factor. A 2-0 count on Anthony Rizzo. Here it is. Ground ball to first. Hart. Bad throw. Out at second. We'll get another look at it. Dale Swain's coming out. And is going to have a few words with Bill Welke. So Segura apparently kept his toe on the base.
Before we even see it, Len, more often than not, he does stay on the base. Yep,
he did.
It always looks, especially when you're reaching for a wide throw, right or left, it always looks like he comes off the bag, but the replay clearly shows Segura able to keep that left foot on the base.
That will be it for Fiers, who was impressive tonight. Back-to-back lefties due up. And it's going to be Manny Parra. The Honda call to the pen here in the 8th, tying run at the plate with 1 out. We'll be right back. And this Brewers bullpen, much maligned this season, with a 1.56 ERA over their last 6 games. With a ton of strikeouts. 27 strikeouts over the last 17 and a third. Fires was really good tonight. It's a high five from Martin Maldonado.
A special connection to Maldonado, because when Fires made his first major league start, Maldonado was making his first major league start behind the plate.
A little reset here. Rizzo at first after the fielder's choice. 1 out. De Jesus at the plate. And the pitch. Not a good catch by Lucroy, but called a strike on the curve nonetheless. This should be 2. Little flip. And the dig by Hart. Well, not a good throw earlier in the inning by Hart, but 2 big digs at first base in this ball game. And we go to the 9th, 3-1 Milwaukee.
Against the Brewers and the Giants going through Sunday. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office.
Southpaw James Russell with his 63rd appearance. Getting into a game for the first time in 4 days.
But for a guy that's used to pitching as much as James Russell has pitched this year, see if he's a little overamped here tonight, a little too strong. Maybe leave some pitches up in the zone. Hopefully not, but occasionally when a guy's had as much rest as James has had recently, he's up in the zone.
0-1. Up and away. Pitch was up as well. You're all over it.
It's just a natural thing. Guy's a little stronger than he normally is. Just needs to change his sights a little bit. Looks in there at his catcher Wellington Castillo. Maybe throw to the shin guards instead of the target, or throw to the bottom of the target. Anything you can do to keep that ball down.
Axford was really good last night. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Mixed up with his breaking pitch, mixed up with his fastball, threw the changeup on the 2-1 pitch, really forced him to finish that pitch to get it down in the zone, and then comes back with a heater, blows it right by Jonathan Lucroy.
Carlos Gomez is going to hit for Morgan. Gomez had 4 hits, including a home run on Monday.
Wellington Castillo wearing that old school mask behind home plate. That's one time he was glad he had that throat extension at the bottom. Looked like that foul ball caught him right at the very bottom of the mask, the top of the chest protector. Without that throat guard, he takes that one right off the Adam's apple.
On the left. 2 gone. Visit the official online shop of the Chicago Cubs at Cubs.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Cubs.com shop. A couple of notes here. Elaine and Bud Fox are here tonight watching from the upper deck. They're in for Palm Harbor, Florida. Cub fans for 60 years. Still have their 1952 Cubs yearbook.
Nice.
Happy 3rd birthday to Lane Abbott of Oswego. His big sister Bailey. Both are big Cub fans. And a little Cub fan, Noelia Lopez, turning 1. Two-1 to Segura. Now 2-2. White Sox beat the Orioles 8-1. That was Joe Saunders' Orioles debut. He took the loss. Series finale tomorrow afternoon. Just over 13,000 in attendance. Two teams in a playoff race. Swing and a miss. James Russell with 2 strikeouts and a quiet 9th. We go to the last of the 9th, last chance now for the Cubs trailing by 2.
Chapter Horseshoe Casino Cubs post-game live. Meet newest Bear Brian Price and hear about his incredible journey, plus all the latest on the pennant race. Join Pat Boyle and Luke Stuckmeyer for GMC Sportsnet Central tonight after post-game live only on Comcast. Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Gomez stays in, plays center, moving Aoki over to right. John Axford last night got the save, his third consecutive save against the Cubs, dating back to last week. Took him just 10 pitches, struck out 2. Some ugly numbers for him this season. He seems to be slowly getting back to the form he showed last year as he faces Luis Valbuena. 3-1 Milwaukee. Here we go. He's 6 on the fastball, but it missed.
Okay. Last night, Axford came in and got Anthony Rizzo to ground out to first base and then struck out Soriano and Castro to end the ball game.
Curve is low. A quiet night for this Cubs offense. Didn't have a hit in the 3rd through the 7th. Quite where LUCROY wanted it. Wanted the backdoor curveball. Instead it was low and inside. 3-2. Don't want to overthink, obviously, with 2 strikes, but you figure Axford with a 2-run lead, he's probably going to go with a heat, right?
I would think so, especially when you've got a 96, 97 mile per hour fastball.
And it's high. I think Rick Kranitz too pleased with that leadoff walk. He threw 2 good fastballs to start the at-bat. He did not get the call on pitch 1. He should have. And he started throwing breaking balls, and all of a sudden that allowed Valbuena to get back into the at-bat.
And one of the breaking balls appeared to catch the bottom of the strike zone. It was received poorly by Jonathan Lucroy, but our pitch tracks look like he threw 4 strikes in that sequence. Ends up walking Valbuena.
All 1 to Castro, and now you have an interesting situation. Ron Renicky has essentially given Axford the job again, but he had to pull him with a lead after he struggled on Friday night in Pittsburgh. So at what point does he make that call down there to get somebody ready, considering the struggles he had earlier this year?
Well, this could be a good, or a big pitch rather, in determining that. If he falls behind 2-0, then pumps a strike in there at 97. Yeah, if he falls behind this hitter, you really have to think about getting somebody up, and in a hurry.
Look, we can debate all night if it makes a difference for a pitcher to know that somebody's loosening in the bullpen, but I'm sure last year in this spot, Ron Renicky wouldn't have even considered getting a guy up if the Cubs had loaded the bases with nobody out, because Axford was the man. That has changed this season. Good cut at that pitch. 2-2.
Elevated fastball inside part of the plate with a lot of hair on it right there. 96 right on the inside corner up above the belt.
Maybe it's hair that he cut off earlier.
Yeah, cut a lot of it off.
I guess he donated it to charity. A nice touch, swing and a miss. Got him on a slider.
It's a pitch he doesn't use often, but when he does, he usually gets good results. He relies more on the fastball and the big over-the-top curveball, but on occasion, especially to a right-handed hitter, he'll go to that slider. It's a good pitch.
This could do it. 6-4. Gets away. Soriano's going to head down to second. He may actually go to third as Hart retrieves the ball. Not quite sure what happened at first base, but instead of the game ending, the Cubs will get one more chance.
It looked like Corey Hart just missed the catch over there at first base. Appeared to be a tailor-made double play. Weeks with all kinds of time to relay on to first. Hart stretches back toward home, but he just doesn't catch the ball, and then it hits Soriano as he goes running past, allowing him to advance all the way to third base.
A 6-4 fielder's choice and an error on Hart. So here comes Brian LaHare. 1 for 3 with a run scored. Well, this game should be over. Cubs get a respite. Soriano might as well just stay anchored to third. This run doesn't mean anything. And you have to be 200% sure you can score to even try to get in.
A wild pitch would have to hit the bricks and ricochet all the way down past the Cubs bullpen to even think about it.
Ground ball. It'll be picked up by Segura. And that will end it. So John Axford with 4 saves over the last week or so against the Cubs. Back-to-back saves last week, back-to-back saves in this series. So the Brewers can go for the sweep tomorrow. And to say they've had the Cubs number is a huge understatement. They're now 13-3 on the year and have won 8 in a row in this season series.
Yeah, a lot of smiles from those guys in the blue shirts tonight. I mean, they've just beaten the Cubs in every aspect of the game. They've pitched extremely well. They've hit home runs. When they've needed to make defensive plays, for the most part, they've made those.
Time for our GMC player of the game. Always goes back to starting pitching, and they get another gem tonight.
Yeah, our first look at Mike Fiers. Very impressive tonight. Not overpowering with his stuff, but really knows how to pitch. Had the Cubs hitters off balance all night long.
So Fiers improves to 8-6. Samardzic goes to 8-12. Axford with his 22nd save of the season. So for Bob and our entire crew, I'm Casper saying so long from Wrigley Field. Your final score: the Brewers 3, the Cubs 1. We're right back here tomorrow. Sleep fast. 12:30 for the pregame. Bob and I will hit the air at 1 to wrap up this series. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. You've been watching Cubs baseball on